Sony sold United Kingdom customers digital movies as purchases. On September 1, 2026, streaming and fresh download access disappears for 551 entries, including Hot Fuzz, Paddington, Moonlight, Train to Busan, and Terminator 2. Existing downloads may work on activated devices, but customers cannot freely move or replace those copies. Worse, Sony had already told customers those purchases would remain available. That is the insanity before anyone hides it beneath legal language. Customers did not join PlayStation Plus, begin a trial, borrow a rental, or claim a free promotional weekend. Instead, people deliberately bought films, placed them inside a digital library, and reasonably expected those films to remain available. Apparently, purchase now means rent until two corporations stop answering each other's emails. Tonight, we are checking what disappears, what Sony promised, what its terms say, and why gamers should care. Can Sony honestly call something a purchase when it can later remove access and keep the money? First, look at the scale before anyone dismisses this as 3 forgotten documentaries. Officially, Sony's notice lists hundreds of entries scheduled for removal. Included are Paddington 2, Leon Evil Dead, Highlander, Rambo Room, Source Code, Carol, and The Imitation Game. After the deadline, affected customers may no longer stream those purchases or download them again from Sony's servers. In practice, the library entry may remain visible, while the customer loses the ways to access it again. People selected these films, paid the displayed price, and expected to keep them. Amazingly, Sony published a removal list long enough to resemble a catalog of cancelled receipts. From September 1st, affected StudioCanal content will lose streaming and new download access because Sony cites content licensing agreements. Meanwhile, the official notice offers a polite thank you, because apparently losing your purchase deserves customer service manners. Now examine the word that made the original transaction feel safe. PlayStation displayed a purchase option. Money permanently left each buyer's account. Yet Sony's terms explain that customers receive personal licenses for private use rather than ownership of the digital products. Normal people do not investigate entertainment licensing before buying a movie. Fine print can describe that arrangement without making the shop language clear, fair, or reasonable. Had Sony wanted perfect honesty, the button could have said licensed access subject to future rights agreements. Buyers believed they purchased continued personal access to one film through their PlayStation accounts. Marketing encouraged that belief by separating purchases from rentals and charging different prices. Back in 2021, that impression became stronger when PlayStation stopped selling movies and television shows. Originally, Sony announced that new purchases and rentals would end after August 31st. Crucially, the company reassured customers that previously purchased content would remain available for on-demand playback across supported PlayStation and mobile devices. Such reassurance mattered because customers could no longer expand that library or move purchases elsewhere. Beyond disappointing an assumption, Sony has weakened the exact assurance used to calm customers when the video store closed. Chronology makes the pattern clear without corporate fog. During 2021, Sony closed new video sales while telling existing buyers their purchased content would remain accessible. Then 2022 brought planned StudioCanal removals for customers in Germany and Austria. By 2023, Sony threatened to remove more than 1,000 seasons of purchased Discovery programming. Following public anger, Sony announced that updated licensing arrangements had stopped the Discovery removal. Today, 2026 brings another StudioCanal removal, this time affecting United Kingdom libraries. 4 dates, 3 removal threats, and 1 repeated lesson, the customer carries the risk. Plainly, Sony sold these films as purchases, reassured buyers about continued access, and now plans to remove hundreds of entries. Sony's current notice announces no refunds, replacement access, or PlayStation Store credit. Affected customers lose streaming and re-download access while Sony keeps the original payment. For context, this is not content vanishing from a subscription catalog after a monthly fee ends. Subscribers expect rotating libraries, while purchasers expect completed transactions to remain completed. Equally, customers were given no choice to export these films before the original store closed. Effectively, Sony trapped the value inside its system, making the company responsible for preserving access or returning the money when preservation fails. The broken promise is clear. Next, the practical question is what customers lose and what they can still protect. Predictably, defenders will argue that many buyers watched these films years ago and already received value. However, usage does not convert a purchase into a rental after the transaction. Watching a disc twice does not give the shop permission to reclaim it. Consider a simple family example. Someone may have bought a family film for their children, kept it inside the household library, and expected younger relatives to watch it years later. September arrives, the account remains active, the receipt remains real, but the convenient family copy may disappear from streaming and future downloads. Upon payment, the film appeared under purchases, yet Sony expects the customer to solve the problem. Consequently, the customer must protect an existing download or buy the same film again somewhere else. One practical detail matters, because downloaded copies may survive the immediate removal. According to Sony's United Kingdom video restrictions, purchased or rented videos already downloaded should not be affected when streaming or fresh downloads become unavailable. Simply put, the download may work on the current device, but it is not a normal file you control. Guidance therefore tells customers to download purchased videos wherever possible. Downloaded files cannot simply be moved to a disk, copied freely onto external storage, or treated like normal portable media. Precisely that limitation makes existing downloads temporarily useful, but prevents anyone from mistaking them for permanent ownership. If that console breaks, Sony has not clearly explained how the customer keeps the film. Downloading may preserve playback on one working machine, but it does not create ordinary ownership. Concerned viewers should check their libraries and devices before September 1st. Keep receipts, screenshots, purchase emails, and support responses. Moreover, Sony must explain what happens when an account needs recovery or replacement hardware is purchased. No customer should need several legal pages to discover whether a purchased movie works next month. Turn now to Sony's licensing excuse. StudioCanal controls rights. Sony controls the platform, and both companies understand their contracts better than the buyer. Purchasers did not choose the agreement length, renewal cost, territory rules, distribution structure, or exit plan. Everyone completed their side when they paid the advertised price. Corporate contracts expiring should stop future sales. Expired rights should not travel backwards through time and cancel completed transactions without compensation. Imagine a furniture shop taking back your sofa because its timber agreement ended 6 years after delivery. Still, that technical difference does not automatically make every consumer loss acceptable. Businesses choose digital systems because centralized distribution lowers costs and expands control. Those businesses should carry the risk when their licensing structure fails. Passing every consequence to the buyer creates a perfect deal for the seller. Far more damagingly, Sony has faced this problem before, and removal was not always the final outcome. Initially, Sony said purchased discovery content would disappear because licensing arrangements had changed. Later, after major public backlash, Sony announced that updated licensing arrangements had prevented the removal. Public pressure did not magically write the contract, but the timing showed that negotiation remained possible. Deletion was therefore not the only possible business outcome. Critics may now accuse the video of pretending PlayStation games are being deleted today. Any such claim would be false. This announcement concerns previously purchased StudioCanal movies and television content in the United Kingdom. To be clear, Sony has not announced that purchased PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 games will disappear on September 1st. Keeping that distinction clear matters, because exaggeration would give defenders an excuse to ignore the real issue. Movies are the immediate victim, but the license model is why gamers should care. Their access still depends on accounts, licenses, platform approval, and continued support. Many releases also require patches, online checks, or multiplayer servers. Nothing here proves Sony will delete everyone's games tomorrow. What this proves is simpler: a product labeled as purchased can lose access when the license behind it collapses. Gaming leads directly into the wider all-digital problem. Console companies promote machines without built-in disk drives. Publishers reduce physical releases while stores encourage downloads, subscriptions, account systems, and cloud libraries. Every step may improve convenience while transferring control from the customer's shelf into a company database. Convenience works beautifully while the company cooperates. Ownership matters when cooperation stops. Disks remain imperfect because modern games may require updates, servers, downloads or account checks. Even so, a licensing dispute cannot quietly erase a disk from your shelf overnight. Conveniently, an all-digital collection can be repossessed without anyone sending a van. None of this means every download is worthless. Plenty of digital purchases will probably remain usable for many years. Our honest lesson concerns security, not panic. Would you ever trust a PlayStation digital purchase again after this? Enough excuses. Here is the minimum Sony owes the people losing access. A full refund should be the default when Sony removes streaming and re-download access from a completed purchase. Replacement access or a protected offline copy would be acceptable alternatives. Store credit should remain a fallback, not the cheapest automatic escape for Sony. Anything less leaves affected customers paying twice for Sony's licensing failure and inconvenience. Clear instructions should cover affected regions, account types, titles, downloads, hardware failure, account recovery, and replacement consoles. Most importantly, Sony should announce one public remedy instead of forcing customers to fight individual support agents. Impacted buyers should download available purchases now, save every receipt, screenshot their libraries, and contact PlayStation support immediately. Other buyers should remember this case before choosing between physical media and a license controlled entirely by a platform. Maybe another agreement will arrive before September 1st, just as one did during the Discovery dispute. Perhaps public pressure will again make preservation cheaper than deletion. Until then, the official plan remains removal without an announced refund, credit, or substitute service. Viewers should not panic about every digital game tonight. Before the deadline, affected buyers should secure every available download on working activated devices. Removal day matters because hundreds of entries are not an abstract legal theory. Real customers will open libraries containing films they paid for and find their streaming and re-download access gone. Once removal happens, Sony will still possess the money, platform, account system, records, and delete button. Rights holders will still possess their rights. Only the customer loses dependable access. Wronged buyers deserve refunds, replacement access, or protected offline copies. Without one of those remedies, the lesson is simple. Your payment was permanent, your access was conditional, and the purchase button was doing more work than the product.